She saw the kids circling the little girl with the leg brace. Without thinking, she stepped in, shielding a stranger's child from cruelty. What she didn't know, the man watching from the black car was the city's most dangerous mafia boss. And he'd just decided she belonged to him. Lena's sneakers slapped against the cracked pavement as she cut through the park, 20 minutes late to pick up her son from daycare. Her apron still smelled like burnt coffee and someone's leftover tuna melt. Another double shift. Another day of pretending her back didn't ache and her bank account wasn't screaming. She was about to take the shortcut past the playground when she heard it. Limp faster, robot girl. Lena stopped. A cluster of kids, maybe 8 or 9 years old, stood in a tight circle near the swings. Their clothes screamed money, designer jackets, gleaming sneakers that cost more than Lena's rent. In the center of their cruel little ring stood a small girl with dark curls, no older than 7, wearing a pink dress and a metal leg brace that glinted in the afternoon sun. The girl wasn't crying. That's what made Lena's chest tighten. She just stood there, silent, staring at the ground like she'd heard it all before. "Does it beep when you walk?" One boy sneered, bending down to knock on the brace with his knuckles. The girl flinched. That was enough. "Hey!" Lena's voice cut through the park like a whip crack. The kids spun around, startled. Lena marched forward, her exhaustion replaced by something hotter, sharper. She didn't care that these children probably had parents who'd complain. She didn't care that she was nobody. "Back off.
Now."
The ringleader, a blond boy with a smug expression, crossed his arms.
"Who are you?"
"Her mom?" "I'm someone who knows a bully when I see one," Lena said, stepping between him and the girl. "And I know your parents didn't raise you to pick on someone half your size." "She's weird," a girl in the group muttered. Lena crouched down, meeting the blonde boy's eyes. "You know what's weird? Being so scared of someone different that you have to gang up on them. That's not tough. That's pathetic." The boy's face went red. For a second, Lena thought he might say something back, but instead he grabbed his friends and stormed off, muttering insults under his breath. Lena waited until they disappeared around the corner, then turned to the little girl. "You okay, sweetheart?" The girl nodded slowly, her big brown eyes wide and cautious. She clutched a stuffed bunny to her chest like a shield. "What's your name?" "Sofia," the girl whispered. "I'm Lena," she smiled gently. "Those kids were idiots. You know that, right?" Sofia didn't answer, but something flickered in her expression, surprise, maybe, like she wasn't used to anyone saying that out loud. "Where's your mom or dad?" Lena asked, glancing around the park. No frantic parent rushing over. No nanny in sight. Sofia pointed toward the parking lot. "My car." Lena frowned. A kid this young, alone at a park, with a car waiting? Something felt off, but she wasn't about to leave her here. "Come on. Let's get you back." Sofia hesitated, then slipped her small hand into Lena's. The trust in that gesture made Lena's throat tighten. They walked across the park together, Sofia limping slightly, but keeping pace. Lena didn't rush her. When they reached the parking lot, Sofia pointed to a sleek black SUV idling near the curb, windows tinted so dark Lena couldn't see inside. A driver in a crisp suit stood by the rear door, arms folded. When he saw them approach, his expression shifted from bored to alert in an instant. "Miss Sofia," he said, his tone clipped. "Your father was about to send someone looking for you." "She's fine," Lena said quickly. "Some kids were bothering her. I just made sure she got back safely." The driver's eyes flicked over Lena, her stained apron, her worn jeans, the scuffed sneakers, and his expression didn't change. But he opened the car door without a word. Sofia turned back to Lena, her small face serious. "Thank you. Anytime, sweetheart." Sofia climbed into the SUV, clutching her bunny. Lena was about to turn away when she felt it, a gaze, heavy and piercing, coming from inside the car. She glanced through the open door. A man sat in the shadows of the back seat. Dark suit, darker eyes. His face was all sharp angles and controlled stillness, the kind of face that gave nothing away. But he was staring directly at her. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Sofia's voice broke the silence. "Papa," she helped me. The man's jaw tightened. He didn't smile, didn't nod, but something shifted in his expression, a crack in the ice.
"Thank you," he said.
His voice was low, smooth, dangerous in a way Lena couldn't quite name. She nodded once, suddenly uneasy. "Just take care of her." The driver closed the door before the man could respond. The SUV pulled away silently, its tinted windows swallowing any trace of the people inside. Lena stood there for a moment, heart still racing, unsure why her hands were trembling. She shook it off and hurried toward the daycare, already 10 minutes later than she'd planned. Inside the car, Adrien Rossi watched the woman disappear into the crowded street. She didn't look back, didn't wait for thanks or recognition. She just left. Most people who helped his daughter did it because they knew who he was. They wanted favors, protection, money. This woman had no idea.
"Papa."
Sofia's small voice pulled him back. She was looking up at him, bunny tucked under her chin. She was nice. Adrien's throat tightened.
Nice.
When was the last time someone had been nice to Sofia, without an agenda? He pulled out his phone and typed a single message to his head of security. Find out everything about the woman who just walked away.
Name.
Address. Family. Everything. He hit send and looked back at his daughter, who was smiling for the first time in weeks. Yes, Adrien murmured. She was. Lena was elbow-deep in soapy water, scrubbing the last of the dinner dishes, when the knock came. 3 sharp raps. Polite but firm. She glanced at the clock. 8:47 p.m. Too late for neighbors. Too early for emergencies. Mom? Her son Danny called from the couch, where he was supposed to be doing homework but was definitely playing games on his tablet instead. Stay there, baby. Lena dried her hands on a dish towel and peered through the peephole. A man stood in the dim hallway, tall, older, wearing an expensive charcoal suit that looked wildly out of place in her building's chipped paint and flickering fluorescent lights. Her stomach tightened. Bill collectors didn't dress like that. She cracked the door open, chain still latched. Can I help you? The man offered a polite smile. Miss Lena Morales? She didn't confirm. Who's asking? My name is Vincent. I work for a private employer who wishes to extend a job opportunity. He reached into his jacket, slowly, like he knew it might spook her, and pulled out a cream-colored envelope. May I? Lena stared at the envelope like it might explode. I already have a job. 2 jobs, actually, Vincent said smoothly. The cafe and the weekend cleaning service. Both barely covering your rent and your son's speech therapy. Lena's blood went cold. Excuse me? My employer is very thorough. Vincent's tone remained respectful, but the message was clear. They know everything about you. He's offering you a position that would eliminate the need for both of those jobs. Generous salary. Flexible hours. All we ask is your discretion. What kind of job? Lena's voice sharpened. And who the hell is your employer? A private family. They require a caretaker and tutor for a young child. You'd work directly with her, help with schoolwork, provide companionship, ensure her safety and well-being. Lena's mind raced. Yesterday. The park. The little girl with the leg brace. Sofia, she breathed. Vincent's expression didn't change, but she saw the flicker of confirmation in his eyes. The family was very impressed by her actions yesterday, Vincent continued. The child has had difficulties connecting with previous caretakers. You made her feel safe. That's rare. Lena shook her head. I'm not qualified for something like that. I don't have a degree, or... You have something better. Compassion. Instinct. Vincent held out the envelope again. Inside is a contract outlining the position and the compensation. Look it over. If you're interested, a car will pick you up tomorrow at 9 a.m. And if I'm not interested? Then we'll respect your decision, and you'll never hear from us again. He set the envelope on the floor just outside her door. But, Miss Morales, I'd encourage you to at least read it. The salary alone would cover your son's therapy for the next 2 years. In full. Lena's breath caught. Danny's speech therapy cost $200 a session. Insurance covered almost nothing. She'd been rationing appointments, watching her bright, funny boy struggle to get his words out because she couldn't afford to help him more than twice a month. Vincent tipped his head respectfully. Good evening. He turned and walked down the hallway, his footsteps echoing on the concrete stairs. Lena waited until she heard the building's front door close before she picked up the envelope. Inside her tiny kitchen, under the single working light bulb, Lena opened it. The contract was typed on heavy paper, official and intimidating. But the number at the bottom made her hands shake. $6,000 per month, plus housing stipend and medical benefits.
$6,000.
She currently made $2,100 between both jobs, and half of that went to rent. She read the terms carefully. Live-in position optional. Duties include tutoring, companionship, and supervision of the child. Discretion required. No disclosure of family details to outside parties. 3-month trial period. There was no mention of the family's name. No address. Just a phone number to confirm acceptance. Mom. Danny appeared in the doorway, his brown eyes curious. Who was that? Lena folded the contract quickly. Just someone offering me a job. A good job. She looked at her son. 8 years old, small for his age, still struggling with sounds that other kids mastered in preschool. He worked so hard in therapy. He deserved more sessions. Better care. Maybe, she said quietly. Danny tilted his head, studying her the way he always did when he couldn't find the right words. Then he said, careful and slow, you look scared.
Lena's chest ached. Her boy was so perceptive.
She knelt down and pulled him into a hug. I'm okay, baby. Just thinking. About the job.
Yeah.
Will it help? She closed her eyes. I think so. That night, after Danny fell asleep, Lena sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the contract. Everything about this felt wrong. Strange men showing up at her door. A mysterious employer who knew too much about her life. A family wealthy enough to pay what most people made in 6 months for a single month's work. But she kept seeing Sofia's face. That quiet resignation when the bullies circled her. The way she'd looked at Lena like she couldn't believe someone had actually helped. And she kept hearing the man in the car's voice. Thank you. Low and careful, like the words cost him something. Lena picked up her phone and typed the number from the contract. I'll take the job. 9 a.m. works. She hit send before she could talk herself out of it. The response came 30 seconds later. A car will be waiting. Thank you, Miss Morales. Lena set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. What the hell had she just agreed to? The black SUV that picked Lena up wasn't the same one from the park, but it might as well have been. Same tinted windows. Same silent driver. Same feeling that she was being pulled into something far bigger than a simple nanny job. Danny had cried when she left, clinging to her waist until her neighbor, Mrs. Chin, gently pried him away. Just for the day, baby, Lena had promised, kissing his forehead. I'll call you at lunch. Now, watching the city blur past the window, she wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. The driver turned onto a private road lined with iron gates and security cameras. Lena's pulse quickened. They drove for another 10 minutes through manicured grounds before the mansion came into view. It wasn't a house.
It was a statement.
3 stories of white stone and glass, sprawling across the hilltop like a fortress disguised as elegance. Fountains. Marble steps. Men in dark suits stationed at every corner, speaking into earpieces. The SUV stopped at the front entrance. Miss Morales, the driver opened her door. Mr. Vincent will meet you inside. Lena stepped out, her worn canvas bag suddenly feeling ridiculous against the backdrop of wealth. A woman in a crisp uniform appeared immediately, gesturing toward the towering front doors. This way, please. The inside was worse or better depending on how you looked at it. Vaulted ceilings. Chandeliers that probably cost more than Lena's entire apartment building. Polished floors, so clean she could see her reflection. But it was silent.
Too silent. No laughter.
No music. Just the echo of her footsteps and the low murmur of voices from somewhere deeper in the house. Vincent appeared at the top of a curved staircase, descending with the same calm precision he'd shown at her door. Miss Morales. Welcome. I trust the drive was comfortable? It was fine. Lena shifted her bag. This is a lot. The family values privacy and security. Vincent gestured down a wide hallway. Miss Sofia is in the library. She's been asking about you since yesterday. Lena's nerves eased slightly. She remembers me? She hasn't stopped talking about you. Vincent's expression softened, barely, but enough to seem human. It's been a long time since she's been excited about anything. He led her through a maze of hallways, past rooms Lena only glimpsed, dining halls, sitting rooms, a kitchen bigger than her entire apartment. Everything was beautiful and cold, like a museum. Finally, they stopped at a door carved with intricate flowers. Vincent knocked twice. Miss Sofia? Your new friend is here. The door flew open. Sofia stood there in a yellow dress, her leg brace polished and gleaming, her dark curls pulled back with a ribbon. Her face lit up when she saw Lena. You came. Lena's heart melted. Of course I came. I promised, didn't I? Sofia grabbed her hand and pulled her into the library, a room filled floor to ceiling with books, plush chairs, and a window overlooking a garden that looked like something out of a fairy tale. This is my favorite room, Sofia said, beaming. Do you like books? I love books. Me too. Sofia limped over to a low shelf and pulled out a worn copy of The Secret Garden. This one's my favorite. Mama used to read it to me. Lena noticed the past tense. Used to. That's a great one, Lena said gently. Maybe we can read it together? Sofia nodded eagerly and plopped onto a cushion, patting the spot next to her. For the next hour, Lena read while Sofia listened, occasionally interrupting with questions or comments. The girl was bright, sharp as a tack, but there was a sadness in her eyes that no 7-year-old should carry. They were halfway through chapter 3 when the door opened. Lena looked up and froze. The man from the car stood in the doorway. He was taller than she remembered, broader in the shoulders. His dark suit was perfectly tailored, his black hair swept back, his expression unreadable. But those eyes, sharp, calculating, dangerous, locked onto hers with the same intensity as before. Recognition hit them both at once.
Papa.
Sofia jumped up, nearly tripping in her excitement. This is Lena. She's reading to me. The man's gaze softened when he looked at his daughter, but when it returned to Lena, the ice was back. Miss Morales, his voice was low, controlled.
I'm Adrien Rossi.
Sofia's father. Lena stood slowly, her mind racing. Rossi. She'd heard that name before. Where? Mr. Rossi. She kept her voice steady. Thank you for the opportunity. I should be thanking you. He stepped into the room, hands in his pockets, but everything about his posture screamed control. Power. You helped my daughter when no one else would. That doesn't happen often. It should happen more. Adrien's mouth almost curved into a smile. Agreed. Sofia tugged on his sleeve. Can Lena stay for lunch? Please. If she'd like. Adrien's eyes didn't leave Lena's face. We have plenty of room. There was something in the way he said it. Not quite a threat. Not quite a promise.
Just wait.
I'd love to, Lena said, even though every instinct told her to run. Sofia cheered and grabbed Lena's hand again, chattering about the garden and the ducks in the pond. But as they left the library, Lena glanced back. Adrien was still standing there, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. And for the first time since arriving, she noticed the man standing in the shadows behind him, armed, silent, and absolutely not a butler. Lena's stomach twisted. What kind of businessman needs armed guards in his own home?
She didn't ask.
But she made a mental note to find out. 2 weeks in, and Lena still couldn't shake the feeling that she was living in a beautiful trap. The days followed a rhythm. Mornings with Sofia, lessons in math and reading, art projects, walks through the garden. Afternoons were therapy sessions with a private physical therapist who came to the estate. Evenings, Lena read stories until Sofia's eyes grew heavy. It should have felt normal. But nothing about this place was normal. The guards changed shifts at exact intervals. Cameras tracked every hallway. Doors locked automatically at 10 p.m. And twice, Lena had woken to the sound of cars arriving in the dead of night. Engines cutting off quickly, voices too low to make out, then silence. She'd asked Vincent once, "Does Mr. Rossi work nights?" Vincent had smiled politely. "Mr. Rossi works all hours. International business requires flexibility." That was the line everyone used. International business. But international businessmen didn't have 4 armed guards stationed outside their daughter's bedroom. They didn't speak in coded phrases on the phone or receive visitors who arrived without names. Lena kept her head down and focused on Sofia. The girl was blossoming. She smiled more, laughed louder, started asking Lena to stay for dinner, then to stay overnight in one of the guest rooms so they could have breakfast together. "You make her happy," Adrien had said one evening, appearing in the hallway outside Sofia's room. He did that, appeared suddenly, silently, like a shadow given form. "She hasn't been this happy in years." Lena had looked up from the book she was carrying. "She's a wonderful kid." "She is." Adrien's expression softened in that rare way it only did around his daughter. "Her mother would have liked you." It was the first time he'd mentioned Sofia's mother directly. "What happened to her?" Lena asked before she could stop herself. Adrien's jaw tightened. The softness vanished.
"She died."
3 years ago.
"I'm sorry."
"So am I." He'd walked away before Lena could say anything else. It was the middle of the second week when things began to crack. Lena woke at 2 a.m. to screaming. She bolted upright in the guest bed, heart hammering. The sound was coming from down the hall, high-pitched, terrified. "Sofia." Lena grabbed her robe and ran, barefoot, into the corridor. 2 guards were already at Sofia's door, but they stepped aside when they saw her. She burst into the room. Sofia was sitting up in bed, sobbing, her small body shaking. The nightlight cast twisted shadows across the walls. "Sweetheart, I'm here." Lena sat on the edge of the bed and pulled Sofia into her arms. "You're safe. I've got you." Sofia clung to her, gasping between sobs. "They killed Mama. They killed her, and Papa couldn't stop them." Lena's blood went cold. "It's just a dream, baby. Just a bad dream." "No." Sofia shook her head violently. "I saw it. The men with guns. Mama told me to hide, and I did, but I heard.
Sure.
"You're okay now." Lena rocked her gently, her mind racing. "Men with guns. Mama told me to hide." The door opened. Adrien stood there in a t-shirt and sweatpants, his hair disheveled, his expression raw in a way Lena had never seen. He looked at his daughter, and something in his face broke. "Papa." Sofia reached for him. He crossed the room in 3 strides and knelt beside the bed, taking Sofia's hand. "I'm here, Piccola. I'm right here. I had the dream again." "I know." His voice was rough. "I know." Lena started to stand, to give them privacy, but Adrien's hand shot out and caught her wrist. "Stay." It wasn't a command. It was a plea. So she stayed. Together, they sat with Sofia until her breathing evened out and her grip on the stuffed bunny loosened. When she finally fell back asleep, Adrien carefully tucked the blanket around her and kissed her forehead. He stood slowly, and Lena followed him into the hallway. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "She saw it," Adrien finally said, his voice hollow. "She was 4. I told Elena to take her and run, but they were already inside. Elena hid Sofia in a closet. She saved her life. Lena's throat tightened. Adrien. I killed the men who did it. He looked at her then, and his eyes were empty. All of them. But it doesn't change what Sofia saw, what she has to live with. Lena should have been terrified. She should have packed her things and left that night. Instead, she asked, "What kind of business are you really in?" Adrien's laugh was bitter. The kind that gets people killed. Are you in danger? Is Sofia? Always, he ran a hand through his hair. I've been trying to get out. Clean up the empire. Go legitimate. But men like me don't just walk away. There are people who'd rather see me dead than retired. Then why stay? Because if I run, they'll hunt us. If I fight, I can control the outcome. He met her gaze. I'm trying to build something safe for her. A world where she doesn't have to be afraid. Lena studied him. This man who was somehow both terrifying and heartbreaking. She needs therapy, Lena said quietly. Real therapy, not just physical. She's carrying trauma that nightmares won't fix. I know, Adrien's shoulders sagged. I've tried. She doesn't trust anyone. She trusts me. Their eyes locked. Yes, Adrien murmured. She does. Something shifted between them in that moment. Something neither of them had words for. Down the hall, a phone buzzed. One of the guards appeared, his face tense.
Sir.
We have a situation. Adrien's expression went cold again, the mask sliding back into place. He looked at Lena. Go back to bed. Don't leave your room until morning. Adrien.
Please.
She nodded and watched him disappear down the stairs, flanked by guards.
Through the window, she saw more cars arriving.
And she knew, with absolute certainty, that she just stepped into something far more dangerous than she'd ever imagined. 3 days after Sofia's nightmare, Lena's world exploded. It started as a normal afternoon. Sofia had a therapy appointment across town. Her regular physical therapist was sick, so they'd scheduled with a specialist at a private clinic. Vincent had assigned them a driver and a single guard in the front seat. Standard protocol, he'd assured Lena. Nothing to worry about. Sofia chattered happily in the back seat, pointing out clouds shaped like animals. Lena held her hand and tried to ignore the knot in her stomach that had been there since Adrien's late-night confession. Men like me don't just walk away. They were on the highway, halfway to the clinic, when the driver's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire body went rigid. Sir? The guard turned to him. We've got a tail. Black sedan. 2 cars back. Lena's heart lurched. She looked through the rear window. A dark sedan with tinted windows weaved through traffic, closing the distance. What's happening? Sofia's voice went small. Nothing, sweetheart. Lena forced a smile. Just a detour. The driver's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. He spoke into his earpiece. Marigold 7 to base. We have a hostile tail on Route 9. Requesting immediate backup. The response crackled through. Lena couldn't make out the words, but the driver's face went grim. Backup is 8 minutes out. We need to move.
Now.
He floored the accelerator. The SUV shot forward, weaving between cars. Sofia yelped, clutching her bunny. Lena wrapped her arms around the girl, shielding her. It's okay. We're okay. Behind them, the sedan accelerated too. And then another joined it.
And another.
3 vehicles, the guard said, pulling a gun from under his seat. They're boxing us in. Lena's breath stopped. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. The driver took a hard exit, tires squealing. They careened onto a side road, industrial, abandoned, lined with warehouses. A trap. The sedans followed, and suddenly one pulled alongside them. The window rolled down. Lena saw the gun a split second before the first shot rang out. The rear window shattered. Sofia screamed. Get down. Lena threw herself over Sofia, covering her completely. Glass rained down on them. The SUV swerved violently. More gunfire. The guard returned fire through the broken window, his shots deafening in the confined space. Lena felt Sofia trembling beneath her, heard her muffled sobs. "Stay down, baby. Don't move. I've got you." The driver took another sharp turn. One of the sedans clipped their bumper, sending them spinning. Lena's head cracked against the door. Pain exploded behind her eyes. They straightened out, but now two sedans blocked the road ahead. "Hold on." The driver reversed hard, but the third sedan rammed them from behind. They were trapped. The guard kicked open his door, using it as cover, firing at the approaching men. "Get the girl out. Go." But there was nowhere to go. Masked men emerged from the sedans, 4, 5, 6 of them, guns raised. The guard took down 2 before a bullet caught him in the shoulder. He collapsed against the SUV. One of the masked men approached Lena's door. She locked eyes with him through the shattered window. His gun was pointed directly at her.
"Out. Now.
Or I shoot through the kid." Lena's hands shook as she reached for the door handle. And then the world erupted. 3 black SUVs came out of nowhere, tires screeching, doors flying open before they'd even stopped. Men poured out, moving with military precision. And at the front of them, dressed in all black, gun in hand, was Adrien. His face was a mask of cold fury. "Sofia." His voice cut through the chaos.
"Papa."
Sofia's scream was muffled against Lena's chest. Adrien moved like death itself. He shot the masked man at Lena's door before the man could even turn. 2 more of his men flanked the remaining attackers, and suddenly the hunters became the hunted. It was over in 30 seconds. Bodies dropped. Guns clattered to the pavement. The last attacker tried to run, but Adrien shot him in the leg. The man went down screaming. Adrien crossed to him, gun never wavering, and crouched down. Lena couldn't hear what he said, but she saw the terror in the man's eyes. Saw Adrien's finger tighten on the trigger. The shot echoed. Then silence. Adrien straightened and walked to the SUV. His eyes found Lena first, checking for injuries, then dropped to Sofia. "Give her to me." Lena's arms wouldn't move. She was shaking too hard. Adrien's expression softened. "Lena, give her to me. You're both safe now." She finally let go. Adrien pulled Sofia out through the broken window, cradling her against his chest. The girl sobbed into his shoulder, and he pressed his face into her hair, whispering words Lena couldn't hear. One of his men appeared at Lena's door, offering his hand. "Miss Morales, let's get you out." She took it, her legs nearly giving out when her feet hit the ground. Blood trickled down her temple from where she'd hit the door. Everything felt distant, muffled. Adrien's eyes snapped to her wound. His jaw clenched. "Get them home.
Now.
And find out who sent these bastards." He barked orders at his men, then turned back to Lena. "Can you walk?" She nodded, though she wasn't sure. "Good. Stay close to me." He led them to one of the intact SUVs, Sofia still in his arms, Lena stumbling beside him. The door closed behind them, and suddenly they were moving again, away from the bodies, away from the shattered glass and bullet casings. Sofia cried silently against her father's chest. And Lena finally understood. The guards, the cameras, the fortress of a home. Adrien wasn't paranoid. He was under siege. And now so was she. Lena didn't sleep. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the gun pointed at Sofia, heard the crack of gunfire, felt the glass raining down. A doctor had come to the estate last night, no hospital. Adrien had insisted, too exposed, and checked them both. Sofia had miraculously escaped without a scratch. Lena had 6 stitches above her left eyebrow and a concussion. "You need rest," the doctor had said. Instead, Lena sat with Sofia until dawn, holding her hand while the little girl finally cried herself to sleep. Now, morning light filtered through the guest room windows. Lena's phone showed 17 missed calls from Mrs. Chun, worried about Danny. She'd called back at 6 a.m., promising she was fine, promising she'd explain later. But how could she explain this? A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Vincent stood in the doorway, his usual composure slightly cracked. Miss Morales. Mr. Rossi would like to speak with you. The garden, if you're able. Is Sofia still sleeping? We have someone with her. Lena nodded and followed him through the silent house. The garden was beautiful in the early light, roses heavy with dew, stone paths winding through carefully manicured hedges. At the center sat a fountain, and beside it, Adrien. He looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His shirt was wrinkled, sleeves rolled up. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. When he saw Lena, he stood immediately, his gaze going to the bandage on her forehead. How are you? Alive, Lena's voice came out steadier than she felt. That's more than I expected yesterday. Adrien flinched.
Seat.
Please. They sat on the fountain's edge. For a long moment, neither spoke.
Beurre sang.
Water trickled. The world pretended to be peaceful. I'm sorry. Adrien's voice was rough. I thought I had more time. I thought they wouldn't move against her so openly. Who are they? The Volkov family. Russian Mafia. We've been at odds for years, but recently he ran a hand through his hair. I've been dismantling my father's empire. Selling off businesses, cutting ties with violent operations. Going legitimate. The Volkovs see it as weakness. They think if they can hit me hard enough, hurt Sofia, I'll crumble. Or retaliate, Lena said quietly. Yes, Adrien's eyes were dark. They want a war. I've been trying to avoid 1 inch.
Why?
Because wars have casualties. And Sofia's already lost her mother to this life. He looked at her then. Really looked at her. Yesterday, she almost lost you too. Lena's throat tightened. I'm not her mother.
No.
But you're the first person since Elena who she's trusted completely. Who she's loved, Adrien's voice dropped. You saved her life yesterday. When that gun was pointed at her, you didn't hesitate. You covered her with your own body. What else was I supposed to do? Most people would have frozen. Or run, he shook his head. You've done more for Sofia in 2 weeks than I've managed in 3 years. You gave her something I can't, peace. Adrien. I'm going to end this, his tone hardened. The Volkovs. All of it. Whatever it takes. But it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I won't blame you if you walk away. You didn't sign up for this. Lena stared at the fountain. She should leave. Pack her bag, grab Danny, and disappear. Go back to double shifts and scrape together rent and a life where people didn't shoot at her on highways. But she kept seeing Sofia's face. The trust in those brown eyes. The way she'd reached for Lena in the car, believing she'd be protected. What happens to Sofia if I leave? Lena asked. I'll hire more security. Keep her isolated until this is over. You mean lock her in this mansion like a prisoner? Adrien didn't answer. She's already terrified, Lena continued. She has nightmares about her mother dying. You want to take away the one person who makes her feel safe right now. I want to keep you alive. Then keep us alive. Both of us, Lena turned to face him fully. I'll stay. Until Sofia is safe. Until you've ended whatever this is. But I have conditions. Adrien blinked, clearly not expecting that. Name them. First, I need to see Danny. Bring him here if it's safer, but I'm not abandoning my son.
Done.
We'll have him here by tonight. He'll have his own room, his own tutor if needed. Second, no more secrets. If there's danger, you tell me. I can't protect Sofia if I'm blind. Agreed. Third, Lena hesitated. When this is over, when she's safe, you get her real help. Therapy. Someone who can help her process what she's been through. Not just now, but everything. Her mother. The violence. All of it. Adrien's expression cracked. I promise. Okay, Lena exhaled. Then I'm staying. Lena, he reached out, his hand hovering near hers but not quite touching. I can't promise you won't get hurt. I can't promise this will be easy. I know. Then why? She thought of Sofia's laugh when they read together. The way the girl's face lit up when Lena walked into a room. The trust of a child who'd already lost so much. Because someone has to fight for her, Lena said simply. And right now, I'm the only one she'll let in. Something shifted in Adrien's eyes, gratitude, respect, and something deeper that neither of them was ready to name. "Thank you," he whispered. From the house, a voice called out. One of the guards, urgent.
Sir.
"We've got movement." Volkov sent a message. Adrien stood, his mask sliding back into place. The cold, dangerous man returning. But before he walked away, he looked back at Lena. "Stay close to the house today. Don't go anywhere alone."
Adrien.
What did the message say? His jaw tightened. "They know you're here.
They know Sofia cares about you.
You're not collateral anymore, Lena. You're a target." The call came at midnight. Lena was reading in the guest room, unable to sleep, again, when Adrien's door slammed open down the hall.
Shouting.
Running footsteps. She was out of bed before she consciously decided to move. Adrien stood in the corridor, phone pressed to his ear, his face white with rage. When he saw her, he lowered the phone. They took her. Lena's world stopped. What? Sofia. They got past the perimeter. Took her from her room 15 minutes ago. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. "They want me at the old harbor. Alone. 1 hour." No, Lena grabbed his arm. "It's a trap. They'll kill you both." "I know." Adrien's eyes were hollow. "But I don't have a choice."
There's always a choice.
"Not when it's my daughter." He pulled away, barking orders at the men gathering around him. "Full tactical team. Snipers on the warehouse roofs. I want every exit covered." Sir Vincent appeared grim-faced. "They said alone. If they see backup." "I don't care what they see. I'm getting her back." Lena's mind raced. She thought of Sofia, terrified, alone, probably crying for her father. For her. "Take me with you." Everyone froze. Adrien turned slowly. "Absolutely not. They want leverage, right? They took Sofia because she's your weakness." Lena stepped closer. "But they also know about me now. They targeted the car because they know I matter to Sofia. Use that." "I'm not using you as bait." "I'm not bait. I'm insurance." She met his eyes. "Sofia trusts me. If she sees me, she'll stay calm. And if things go wrong, I can get her out while you handle the Volkovs." "Lena, you said I saved her life once. Let me do it again." Adrien looked at her like she'd just volunteered to jump off a cliff. Which, essentially, she had. "This is insane," he muttered. "You have 53 minutes to come up with a better plan." He didn't. The harbor was a graveyard of rusted shipping containers and rotting docks. Moonlight glinted off black water. Somewhere, a chain clanged against metal. Adrien's SUV rolled to a stop in the center of an empty lot. He killed the engine. Silence pressed in. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. "No matter what happens, you stay behind me until I say otherwise." Lena nodded, her heart hammering against her ribs. They stepped out. Floodlights snapped on, blinding. Lena threw up a hand, squinting. As her eyes adjusted, she saw them. At least a dozen men surrounding the lot, guns raised. And in the center, a man in an expensive coat holding Sofia's hand. Sofia's face was streaked with tears, her bunny clutched to her chest.
"Papa."
Her voice cracked. "I'm here, Piccola." Adrien's voice was steady, though Lena saw his trigger finger twitch. "Let her go, Dmitri." The man, Dmitri Volkov, Lena assumed, smiled. He was older, silver-haired, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. The great Adrien Rossi, on his knees for a crippled child. "How far you've fallen."
"Let
her go." "Where's the fun in that?" Dmitri yanked Sofia closer. The girl whimpered. "You've been making moves against my family for months. Disrupting shipments. Paying off my buyers. Did you think I wouldn't respond? This is between us. She's innocent." "No one in this life is innocent." Dimitri's eyes slid to Lena.
"Ah."
And you brought the little hero. The waitress who thinks she can play in our world. Lena's pulse thundered in her ears, but she stepped forward. Let Sofia come to me. You want Adrien, fine. But let her go.
Lena, no, Adrien hissed.
Interesting, Dimitri studied her. You'd trade yourself for the child. Yes. Lena. She ignored Adrien and walked forward, hands raised. Let me take her. Then you and Adrien can settle whatever this is. She doesn't need to see it. Dimitri laughed. Bold. Stupid, but bold. He shoved Sofia forward.
Fine.
Take her. Makes no difference, you'll both die anyway. Sofia stumbled, and Lena caught her, pulling her close. The girl buried her face in Lena's neck, sobbing. It's okay, baby. I've got you, Lena whispered. Her eyes scanned the lot. Containers, shadows, too many guns. Adrien's men were out there somewhere, but she couldn't see them. She needed a distraction. Adrien, she said loudly. Sofia wants to tell you something. He looked at her, confused. She wants to tell you about the game we played. Remember, Sofia? The hiding game? Sofia's sobs quieted. She was smart, so smart. She understood.
The
hiding game, Sofia whispered. That's right. On 3, we hide. Just like we practiced. Dimitri's smile faltered. What? 1, Lena shifted her weight. Stop. Dimitri raised his gun. 2. Lena. Adrien's hand went to his weapon. 3. Lena dove behind a container, Sofia in her arms. Gunfire erupted. Adrien moved like lightning. His shot took down Dimitri's nearest guard before the man could blink. Then chaos. Adrien's men emerged from the shadows, snipers opening fire from the rooftops. The Volkovs returned fire, but they were surrounded. Lena pressed Sofia against the container, covering her ears. Don't look, baby. Don't look. A man rounded the corner, gun raised. Lena didn't think. She grabbed a rusted pipe from the ground and swung. It connected with his temple.
He dropped.
Stay here. Lena pulled Sofia deeper into the maze of containers, away from the gunfire. Behind them, she heard Adrien's voice, cold and final. This ends tonight, Dimitri. A single shot. Then silence. Footsteps approached. Lena grabbed the pipe again, ready. Lena. It's me. Adrien appeared, blood on his shirt, exhaustion in his eyes. But alive. Is she? We're okay. Lena loosened her grip on Sofia. It's over? It's over, he knelt, pulling them both into his arms. His hands shook. It's over. Sofia clung to him, and he buried his face in her hair, breathing like a man who'd just surfaced from drowning. Lena's hands wouldn't stop shaking. But they were alive. All 3 of them. The sign outside read, Elena's Hope, Children's Rehabilitation Center. Lena stood on the front porch, watching the sun set over rolling hills. 6 months ago, this place had been an abandoned estate. Now it was home to 12 children, some with physical disabilities, some recovering from trauma, all of them learning that the world could be kind. Sofia's laughter drifted through the open window behind her. The girl was inside with the other kids, teaching them how to paint. Her leg brace still gleamed in the light, but she wore it like armor now, proof of what she'd survived. Miss Lena, one of the younger boys, Marcus, appeared at the door. Sofia says dinner's almost ready. Can we eat outside tonight? Lena smiled. If you help set the tables. Deal. He disappeared in a flash of energy. The center had been Adrien's idea, or rather his penance. After the harbor, everything had moved fast. The Volkov family scattered, some arrested, others simply vanishing into the night. Adrien had kept his promise. He'd dismantled his empire piece by piece, selling off every business tied to violence, paying off debts, severing connections that had taken 3 generations to build. The headlines called it a miracle. Notorious crime family goes legitimate. What they didn't know was the cost. Adrien had enemies who'd never forgive him for walking away. Allies who saw his reformation as betrayal. For 3 months, He'd lived in a different safe house every week, always moving, never staying long enough to be found. He'd kept his distance from Sofia, from Lena. To keep them safe, he'd said. Lena had understood. But Sofia had cried herself to sleep for weeks, asking when Papa was coming home. Finally, the last threat had been neutralized. The final business sold. And Adrien had called. "It's done," he'd said, his voice exhausted. "I'm out. Really out this time. Where are you?" "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can think." "Sofia misses you." A long pause. "I miss her too." "Then come home, Adrien." "I don't have a home anymore." "Yes, you do." That had been 2 weeks ago. Lena was helping Marcus arrange wildflowers in mason jars when she heard the car. Not an SUV this time. Not black and bulletproof. Just a dusty blue sedan that rolled up the gravel drive and parked near the garden. Her heart stopped. The driver's door opened, and Adrien stepped out. He looked different. Thinner. His hair longer, touched with gray at the temples. He wore jeans and a plain white t-shirt, no suit, no armor. Just a man who looked like he'd walked through fire and barely made it out. Their eyes met across the yard. For a moment, neither moved. Then Sofia's voice rang out from inside.
"Papa."
She appeared in the doorway, paint smudged on her cheek, disbelief and hope warring on her face.
"Papa."
Sofia ran. Actually ran, her limp barely noticeable after months of therapy, and threw herself into Adrien's arms. He caught her, lifting her off the ground, and the sound that came from him was somewhere between a laugh and a sob.
"Ello, piccola mia. I'm sorry."
"I'm so sorry I was gone." "You came back," Sofia's voice was muffled against his shoulder. "You promised you'd come back." "I'll always come back to you." Lena watched from the porch, her throat tight. The other children had gathered at the windows, curious but quiet. Adrien set Sofia down gently, then looked up at Lena. "Hi," he said like he didn't know where to start.
"Isa."
He walked toward her slowly, Sofia holding his hand. When he reached the porch steps, he stopped. "I know I don't have the right to just show up, but I needed to see her." To see, he trailed off, his eyes searching Lena's face.
"To see if you meant it."
"Meant what?" "That I have a home." Lena descended the steps until she was standing right in front of him. "You do. But it's not the mansion. It's not the empire or the power or any of that." "Then what is it?" "It's here." She gestured to the center, to the children peeking through the windows, to Sofia beaming beside him. "It's choosing to be better. To build instead of destroy. To be a father instead of a boss." Adrien's jaw worked. "I don't know if I know how to do that." "Then you learn," Lena's voice softened. "We all do. That's what this place is for." He looked at the sign above the door. "Elena's Hope." "She would have loved this," he whispered. "I think so too." Sofia tugged his hand. "Papa, do you want to see my room? And meet my friends? And Lena says I can teach art class now." "I'd love that. And Danny's here too. He talks so much better now. You'll like him." Adrien let his daughter pull him toward the house, but he glanced back at Lena. "Stay for dinner?" she asked. "I don't want to impose." "Adrien," she smiled. "You're not imposing. You're home." Something in his expression broke open. Relief, gratitude, maybe even hope. "Okay," he said quietly. "I'll stay." That night, after the children had eaten and the stars had come out, Lena found Adrien sitting on the porch steps, Sofia asleep against his shoulder. She sat beside him, and for a while they just existed in the quiet. "Thank you," Adrien finally said. "For everything. For her. For this. You built this place. You made it a home." Lena leaned her head against his shoulder, careful not to disturb Sofia. "No more shadows." "No more shadows," he promised. "Only light from now on." "Good. Because Sofia needs her father." "And she hesitated. "I think I need you too." Adrien's hand found hers in the darkness. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "Not this time." And for the first time in years, Lena believed in happy endings.
The end.